have an emergency.
Today on Rescue 911. A deadly safari. On an African river, a boy is savagely attacked by a crocodile.
We then realised that there was something very badly wrong.
It's the same as swimming in shark-infested water.
And his father risked life and limb to save him. Plus, when her mother faints behind the wheel,
Mom, wake up! Wake up!
her daughter must steer clear of disaster.
I was scared, but I knew I had to stay calm.
On Rescue 911.
The wildest parts of nature fill us with wonder, but sometimes their majestic beauty can be deceptively deadly. I'm William Shatner. Tonight, true stories of swift actions and kind hearts on Rescue 911. We begin on May 1st, 1986, as a group of travelers were enjoying a 5-day canoe safari through the remote jungle of Zimbabwe, Africa. The plan was to paddle an 80-mile stretch of the Zambezi River. Their guide, Simon Silcock, had led more than 50 expeditions in the area.
The Zambezi runs through two fantastic game parks, and they are both totally virginal bush. It is not unusual to camp and actually to have an elephant come and put his trunk inside your tent.
Okay, guys, let's get the boats in the water.
19-year-old Rupert Novus was on a year-long trip through Africa after finishing college back home in England.
There was nothing difficult about the actual canoeing itself. It required a quick 1-minute lesson from Simon when we got in for those particular canoes, and then after that, away we went.
Oh, this looks lovely. Look over there.
We were going through the middle of nowhere. It was gorgeous.
Kenyan-born Alexander Shaw was sharing a canoe with Rupert, his good friend from school.
The hippos were basically the main danger. So it was very much a question of trying to steer clear of them.
In front.
We did see some crocs, but they weren't any danger to us because they'd run a mile as soon as we canoed anywhere near them.
You always camp at the same spot.
During dusk, and as the sun's going down, you get all the river noises. It was great. It was sort of an orchestra in itself.
On their 5th and final day on the water, they still had 4 hours of paddling ahead of them.
The heat is unbearable.
South African Hugh Lloyd and his 13-year-old son, Jeremy, were two of the other travelers on the safari.
Let's have a swim now, what do you say? Yeah. That'll be...
We did swim to cool off 1 or 2 times a day, but the places were carefully chosen.
We all need a swim, but we can't take a chance here.
The water would have to be very, very clear and shallow enough to see your toenails. Swimming in deep water in the Zambezi is absolutely crazy. It's the same as swimming in shark-infested water. It had rained a lot and turned the water very brown.
Hey, Simon, can we please go for a swim? The water's shallow.
It was only at 3 o'clock that I found a place that I considered to be safe enough.
Okay, guys, we're okay here. We can swim.
Yeah, yeah.
Excuse me. This way.
Ellis. Simon.
Right, Simon. Yeah, Jeremy.
It was very, very relaxing. And we slowly drifted down the river with the canoes.
Simon.
As we floated, it started to get a little bit deeper. The guide suggested that we should get back into the canoes.
I'll go with you, ladies. All right. Yes. Here we go. Yeah. Okay. It's on this, back in the boat.
Jeremy suddenly just disappeared, like a fishing float going down. The water was calm on top. We didn't know what had happened to him at all.
Get him!
Before we could get there, he was pulled back underneath. We then realised that there was something very, very badly wrong.
When we continue,
We couldn't see what was going on underneath. We were just feeling around with our arms. Alex then got pulled underneath.
on a canoe safari in the African jungle, 13-year-old Jeremy Lloyd was attacked by a 12-foot crocodile while swimming in the Zambezi River. Another member of his group, Rupert Novus, had been close by when he saw the boy disappear from view.
He didn't scream. He didn't have time to.
I was a bit confused as to what was happening. Was it a game? Was someone having a water fight?
We couldn't see what was going on underneath. We were just feeling around with our arms. Alex then got pulled underneath. I located Jeremy and I just pulled up as hard as I could. Fortunately, he was released.
I could feel the crocodile between our legs.
We were all just frantic to get out of the water.
Help me get in the boat. Right, yeah.
This was the first time I got a proper sight of Hugh's arm. It had been bitten off from the elbow downwards. We started to sink back into the water. I knew that I had to do something about it. It was probably the fastest I've ever swum in my life. Alex had had his arm very badly broken.
I had teeth marks all around my wrist. But the whole incident had focused around Jeremy, and the very fact that he was alive was the saving grace of it. Anything after that was small fry.
Our major concern was the likelihood of them dying from loss of blood.
It's an awful feeling knowing that you are 150 miles with no road from any hospital.
Hugh's arm was obviously the most serious, but he acted with incredible calmness.
I think we need a tourniquet here. Okay.
He was totally handling the situation.
Get some pressure pads on him.
He was quite extraordinary. His mental condition was fantastic, but it wasn't going to keep his physical situation going.
Hey, Jeremy.
Jeremy had been bitten on his arm, which was looking quite mangled.
He said, just somebody tell me this is a nightmare.
The nearest help was at the Mana Pools Game Preserve Station, 5 miles away through the bush.
We knew that we had to somehow get the injured down to there, but we didn't know how we were going to do that.
I saw a white thing on the shore directly opposite us.
Look across there on the other bank.
I was thinking, white is man-made. There's nothing white in the bush.
Is that a car? That's it. Let's go. Let's go. Let's get to the boat.
It was indeed a Land Rover. It was a very fortunate set of circumstances because it was the first day that people had been allowed into the parks for 6 months.
You come down and help us.
We were very concerned because we were a long way away from being able to get proper help. We didn't necessarily have that sort of time to play with.
Because there was no medical facility anywhere near, Jeremy and his father were taken to Mana Pools, where they could radio for help. Rupert stayed behind with his injured friend Alex to wait for the next trip.
And that sort of stuff, because
Simon! Gordon, we need help here. We've got 2 people taken by Croc. Okay, I'll try and get a plane. Simon, is it? I'm a doctor.
There happened to be a doctor who was signing in to come on a camping trip. I've been happy to see people in my life before, but that guy I was delighted to see. Hugh Lloyd was weakening. He was going white. I think shock was probably setting in. And Jeremy had gone very, very quiet, which is always a bad sign.
I need to get going.
A bush pilot who'd heard about their situation volunteered to pick up the wounded at a nearby clearing for transport to the hospital.
Hugh and I actually ended up crying most of the way, quite honestly. I remember him just saying, I'm sorry this has happened, I'm sorry this has happened. But of course I've had to live with a certain amount of guilt because it should never have happened.
Hugh Lloyd and his 13-year-old son Jeremy were flown 300 miles to the capital city of Harare, where they underwent surgery at Parapanitwa Hospital. Gillian Lloyd could not get a visa to come and see her husband and son until 2 days later.
By the time I saw him, Hugh was a lot stronger. But Jeremy was running a dangerously high temperature, and he was in a great deal of pain. The orthopedic specialist had said that I had to try and picture a bag of confetti, and that's what the bones in Jeremy's arm looked like, because the crocodile had chewed it to tiny little fragments.
After 10 days, Jeremy and his father were transferred to Morningside Hospital in their hometown of Johannesburg, South Africa, where they underwent further surgery.
What sort of use will he have? Dr. Diamond said that I was to be prepared for the fact that Jeremy would never move his arm more than 2 degrees either way. It was completely and utterly fixed in a right angle. I was just very grateful that they were still alive.
7 years have passed since the incident. Jeremy and Hugh have long since learned to cope with their physical limitations.
You sunk it in for 5. It's not so good.
Remember, the first most difficult thing to do was learning how to pull your trousers up without them falling down. And then how do you wrap a bath towel around you after you've been in a shower? When I kind of finally accepted that I was a one-armed person, not the 2-armed person with 1 arm missing, I quickly learned that I could do everything I'd ever done.
For quite a while. My whole life became centered around my arm, which is very annoying. And I was getting frustrated because I was thinking this damn arm it just won't move.
No.
He used to spend hours at the physiotherapist, despite tremendous pain. And he now can extend the arm more than 80 degrees.
Yeah.
Well, you can't complain.
It's on. When I was taken, I didn't even know it was a crocodile. The water was just rushing past me. There's no way I could breathe. But by that time, my father was next to it, and he punched it to make it let me go. If it hadn't been for him, then I would have died.
I have no regrets. Absolutely none whatsoever. It's the only thing I could have done. It wasn't a matter of choice.
Yeah, amazing. Hey, look at them over there.
Alex and Rupert could easily have made sure of their own safety, and they didn't. They stayed, and they helped, which demanded enormous bravery and enormous courage. I lived in that country for most of my life, and most people who are taken by a crocodile are never seen again.
Look at zebra and goodies over there.
It certainly does teach a lesson, but a lesson that has been learnt before, which is that you have to treat nature with extreme caution and utmost respect. I'm grateful for the fact that at the end of the day we're all here and we're all alive to be able to talk about it.
It's quite amazing.
Next.
Mom, what's the matter? Mom, wake up! Wake up! Wake up! Wake up!
discovery is just as much a part of parenting as it is of growing up. On the morning of July 1st, 1993, Janet Jones had an appointment to look at a house in a rural area outside Sacramento, California, where she and her husband hoped to raise their 4 children. Before the day was over, they had learned that if those around us aren't prepared to respond, a split second can change our lives forever.
Want to sing a song?
Yeah.
How about walking shoes?
Okay.
Okay.
I put on my walking shoes.
My walking.
11-year-old Andrea was seated up front next to her mother. Her 3 younger brothers were in the back seat.
'Cause I wanna walk with you. Mom, what's the matter? And she looked over at me and she said, I just don't feel very well. And she turned the air on and she rolled down her window.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm not feeling very good.
All of a sudden, my mom pulled over really fast and she kind of looked pale a little. I thought something had to be wrong. She did a U-turn and she started to go again. And I did not want her to drive because I didn't want to get in a crash. So I told her to pull over, but she wouldn't pull over.
We gotta get home.
Please, Mom, pull over. I looked up ahead and I didn't see any cars, so I thought it was okay. And then I looked over at my mom. Mom, wake up! Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! I remembered this story on 911 about the little boy who pulled over the mom's truck because she fainted, and I knew I had to do that or we were going to be dead. When the car finally stopped, I looked over at my mom and I thought, we need some help for her though. We need some help. That's when I dialed 911.
Battalion 81, Rescue 81, ill woman, Shorthorn and Tavner, Squad 83, Medic 271, Map 13.
Within 11 minutes, members of the Wilton Fire Department responded to Andrea's call for help on the car phone.
We stayed in the car till the firemen arrived, and when they did arrive, my mom started to wake up, and I got my brothers out of the car because I didn't want them in the way.
Moments later, Elk Grove Fire Department paramedic Mike Slate and his partner arrived on the scene.
She seemed like a young, healthy adult, not typical to have medical problems like that, so we were concerned.
They'll get you loaded up on the gurney here.
When we advised the patient that she needed to go to the hospital, she was very concerned about her children, what was going to happen to her children. We assured her that her children would be fine, and that eased her so she could concentrate on herself. Her heart rate maintained just right at 60, which is borderline to a bradycardic rhythm, so that concerned me. I obtained a blood sample so we could determine what her blood sugar was, and it showed that she had a blood sugar of 70. Okay, you're gonna feel a little poke in the back of your hand, all right? Normal blood sugar is 80 to 100, so hers was significantly low.
When they took her away in the ambulance, I was like, oh, please, God, don't let her die. She's important to all of us.
Janet Jones was taken to Sutter Memorial Hospital for treatment and diagnosis and released 2 days later. Over the next few weeks, Dr. Stephen Stark administered a series of tests and discovered that Janet suffers from hypoglycemia and a mild hereditary heart condition which can cause fainting.
Janet has more symptoms than she initially thought, pretty much on an every 2 to 3 day basis. And what we've done is given her a specific medication to block this reflex. And now with the medication, Janet has had almost total resolution of the symptoms, and therefore should no longer be prone to passing out.
It's been 2 months since the accident.
I can't articulate how upset I was about possibly hurting my children because they're my life. It was just a quick flash decision that I made, but it was not the right decision. I should have stopped the car.
Backflip.
We're mostly active people, but we watch Rescue 911 every Tuesday, and we feel that they can learn something from it. I'm just so thankful to everyone that was involved. They saved my family.
It is upsetting to think about what could have happened, but I rather focus on the achievement of what she did do. It was a heroic effort.
Andrea's my hero. You could never measure how proud I am.
Sissy saved all our lives, and I love her.
Step out of the car, please.